The story takes place in the year 2063, when the Earth's climate has drastically changed due to global warming. Scientists have realized that if they do not find a new planet soon, humanity will face extinction. They discover a planet that is 86 years away from Earth, meaning if humans were to travel to this planet, they would reach it after 86 years, by which time, every individual who embarked on the journey would have died. Thus, the scientists develop a plan. They will use IVF, in vitro fertilization, to create 30 highly intelligent children and raise them in isolation. These children are provided with extensive knowledge about science, spaceships, and the universe. Their entire lives will be spent on the spaceship, and the mission is for the children's descendants to one day reach the planet. The third generation of these children will be young adults by the time the ship arrives at the planet. The children's guide and leader is a man named Richard. Over time, Richard forms a deep emotional connection with the children and decides to accompany them on the spaceship mission, despite being advised against it. He convinces the mission's captain, and Richard becomes the children's guide and leader on the voyage. According to the mission plan, when these 30 children reach the age of 24, another 30 children will be born through IVF inside the spaceship. This process will repeat when the second generation reaches the same age, ensuring that the third generation will be young when they finally arrive at the new planet. For now, the mission is proceeding smoothly, and 10 years have passed since the children first embarked on their journey. The children are now older and are handling all their duties aboard the spaceship with discipline and precision, as they were trained to do. Each of the children is exceptionally intelligent. Some are doctors, while others specialize in areas such as engineering for the botanical system of the spaceship. Despite their intelligence and competence, these children share a common trait. They have no desires. They do not feel any attraction toward each other and operate like emotionless machines. Among them is a boy named Christopher, who works in the botanical department. One day, Christopher receives an alert about a chemical and, puzzled, asks Richard about it. However, Richard evades his questions, making Christopher suspicious. He begins investigating the chemical and discovers that it is designed to completely suppress sexual desires. This is the reason none of the children feel attraction toward one another. The chemical is administered to them daily in the form of a drink that everyone on board is required to consume each morning. Christopher and his friend decide to stop drinking it. Gradually, they begin to change, becoming more active and developing sexual desires. They start to feel attraction toward others for the first time. Soon after, Christopher questions Richard about a secret chamber he has discovered, but Richard lies, claiming he does not know what it is. Christopher, however, sees through the deception. Richard, concerned that the children are becoming too intelligent, sends a message to Earth, warning that they must now reveal the truth to the children. Until now, none of the children knew they would have to spend their entire lives aboard the spaceship, and that only their third generation, conceived through IVF, would eventually reach the planet. As Christopher and his friend begin to develop feelings for a girl who is a doctor aboard the ship, tensions rise. One day, Christopher's friend grabs the girl's hand, and Richard scolds him. The situation is unprecedented since no one had ever behaved in this way before. Meanwhile, strange vibrations and noises begin to emanate from the spaceship, further unsettling the crew. Christopher and his friend head to a room where another boy is monitoring the situation, trying to determine the source of the noise. Christopher recalls asking Richard about it, and Richard claimed the noise was coming from the cooling machine. However, Christopher's friend expresses his mistrust of Richard and even suggests that there could be an alien aboard the spaceship. He argues that if humans can survive on the spaceship, perhaps aliens could too. This idea takes root in the friend's mind, and paranoia begins to spread. Richard is later seen talking to the doctor, explaining something as he gently places a hand on her shoulder. Christopher's friend witnesses this and becomes enraged. He remembers how Richard had scolded him for touching the girl earlier, and now he hates Richard for his apparent hypocrisy. Suddenly, a technical malfunction occurs in the spaceship, causing communication with Earth to be cut off completely. Normally, it takes 2 months for messages to travel between the spaceship and Earth due to the vast distance. Now, the team must repair their communication system at all costs, which requires someone to go outside the spaceship. Richard selects Christopher's friend to accompany him on the repair mission, despite the friend's growing hatred for him. The friend is furious, especially since the girl he desires is nearby when Richard chooses him for the mission. As the friend prepares for the spacewalk, he behaves inappropriately toward the girl, but Richard catches him in the act and pushes him away, reprimanding him harshly. Richard changes his plan and decides to take Christopher with him on the mission instead. The two of them exit the ship in their suits and begin repairing the communication system. Meanwhile, Christopher's friend sneaks into the control room, where another boy is monitoring the spaceship systems. While outside the spaceship, Richard and Christopher encounter a mysterious black shadow. Suddenly, Richard is gravely injured, his body burned from head to toe. Christopher struggles to get him back inside the spaceship, but despite their efforts, Richard dies from his injuries. Everyone on board is devastated by the loss of their leader. With Richard gone, the crew decides that Christopher should now lead the mission. However, Christopher's friend is deeply jealous of this decision, as he had always wanted to be the leader himself. Out of jealousy, the friend reveals the truth about the daily drink, and soon everyone stops drinking it. As a result, the children begin to experience sexual desires for the first time, leading to dramatic changes in their behavior. Some of them become wild and aggressive, constantly engaging in sexual activity, while others remain disciplined and focused on their duties. The ship is now divided between those who still maintain order and those who have become consumed by their desires. One day, Christopher's friend makes another unwanted advance toward the girl, but this time Christopher intervenes and saves her. This incident brings Christopher and the doctor closer, and they develop a friendship. Christopher realizes the gravity of his responsibilities as the new leader and becomes determined to ensure the mission's success, no matter what. However, his friend remains resentful and begins spreading paranoia among the others, claiming that Richard was killed by an alien. He insists that the alien is hiding in the archive room, where all the ship's recordings are stored. Together with one of his allies, Christopher's friend heads to the archive room to search for the alleged alien. Inside the archive room, they find nothing, but shortly after, they come running out, claiming that the alien is still inside. They report that they had to set part of the archive on fire in order to stop it. When Christopher hears this, he becomes suspicious of his friend and decides to investigate the archive room himself. Upon entering, Christopher finds no sign of an alien. He retrieves a recording of the time he and Richard were outside repairing the spaceship. As he watches the footage, he realizes that his friend had intentionally manipulated the shockwave intensity, causing Richard's suit to fail and resulting in his death. It becomes clear that his friend had killed Richard out of hatred. Christopher confronts his friend in front of everyone, revealing the truth. His friend admits to killing Richard but continues to claim that an alien had possessed Richard. In his paranoia, he accuses another boy of being the alien in disguise. The others, now completely swayed by his fear-mongering, believe him and attack the accused boy, killing him. The ship is descending into chaos as more people lose control, turning against each other. Christopher, the doctor, and a few others who have remained sane decide to seek refuge in the secret chamber. The doctor, who had previously learned about the chamber, believes there are weapons inside that could help them defend themselves. As the group reaches the chamber, they find that they don't have the password to open it. Meanwhile, Christopher's friend learns of their plan and leads his faction to the chamber. He breaks down the door and finds a cache of weapons inside. Believing that Christopher and his allies were planning to use the weapons against him, he now decides to kill them with the weapons he has found.